What's up guys, Caleb here with another installment of Reality Check, and today is all about the Mecer K3G3R courtesy of Rebeltech. Big shout out to them for sending it our way for review. Let's jump right into it. So, the big question here is the Mecer K3G3R too good to be true? Because it's 1440p, 144 Hz, nearly 32 inches, and it's curved. And all of that being said, it only costs 7,000 Rand, my man. I don't know, hey? I think we're gonna have to take a little bit of a closer look at this one. Let's jump right into it. Well, let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Firstly, let's get the obvious negative things out of the way here, because when a monitor is this cheap, they have to cut some corners somewhere. The most obvious cut corner is the stand. It's basically just a chunk of metal and it's a little bit finicky to set up. And then on top of that, they don't offer you that much adjustment. You can tilt it back and forth, but that's about it. There's no height or swivel. And you'll also need a screwdriver to set it up because it takes, well, screws to screw. That's why you need a screwdriver to screw it in, obviously. Also, the built-in controls are less than ideal. Whilst more expensive screens might have one of those little analog stick thingies that you can use to control it, this just has a set of cheap feeling buttons which are a bitch to navigate. Whilst the menu does give you access to a lot of settings, getting to said settings isn't exactly an intuitive experience. It just feels like a bit of a chore when you're trying to calibrate your screen. All that being said, neither of these things are really deal breakers. What would be a deal breaker is a lousy panel, because that's essentially what you're paying for at the end of the day. And thankfully, there is nothing lousy about this panel. First off, 31.5 inches kind of feels like the sweet spot for gaming. It's not so small that you have to lean in to see what's going on the whole time, and then not so big that you have to be sitting on the other side of the room. Also, at this size, the slightly large for 2019 bezels are barely noticeable, and I didn't really have a problem with them at all. The 1440p resolution is also pretty ideal. In a world of 4K gaming this and 4K gaming that, how many of us actually have the hardware to play games at 4K? It's only really becoming a reality with new graphics cards like the RTX 2080, but those aren't exactly cheap or attainable. So in that context, 1440p is just a little bit more realistic. And we've also found that for professional programs like Premiere Pro, it just scales a little bit better as opposed to something like 2160. So I think it's a perfectly good resolution. Speaking of which, would you want to use this screen for work purposes? Well, if you're not doing anything color specific that requires super accurate colors, then yes, it does actually have 96% sRGB. And the colors do look good and they're vibrant and there's a lot of contrast. They're just not incredibly accurate. Now, this is a VA panel, so you are sacrificing viewing angles for response time, but you are getting a 1 to 4 millisecond response time. Now, there does seem to be a little bit of a dispute about this online, but we will go with what it says on the manufacturer's website, which is 1 millisecond. And on that point, this is pretty clearly a generic Chinese panel. This panel, in fact, overlay that Mecer has just added their branding to, but this is common practice with anything that has a screen on it actually, but it really doesn't matter. An overlay, because at the end of the day, you're getting a surprisingly decent, surprisingly affordable gaming monitor. Now, it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It includes an HDMI and DisplayPort cables. It is FreeSync enabled, but that's pretty much about it. But if you're getting a dank ass gaming monitor, do you need much more than that? No, you don't. So why are you bitching? So to answer the question, is the Mecer K3G3R too good to be true? It turns out no, it's not. It's 100% good enough to be true. So dank is all hell, bro. Anyways, guys, that pretty much wraps it up with this installment of Reality Check. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this beautiful screen I've got going on behind me over here. Don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, don't forget to go check it out on Rebeltech's website, rebeltech.co.za. That's where it's available. Big shout out for them to handing it over to us for review. Don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time for another installment of Reality Check. Peace!